The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien is honestly a quite interesting book to read, and during the end of my second semester of my final months of high school, I was put into a book club to read this specific book for my AP English class. We had to talk and discuss about the book to our peers, and at first it felt like a chore because obviously we're doing assignments. But the more I read about the book and the more I analyzed it, the more that I wanted to talk to my peers, but not only to my peers, but to other people as well. And so that's what I'm trying to talk about in this video, talking about the book and giving an overall universal theme towards the book so that many people can understand it just like I did. And so I'm going to be talking about 3 things that ties to the overall universal theme, and so which I will be talking about at the end of the video. And so let's get started. The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien is a collection of linked stories that explore the physical and emotional burdens that many American soldiers had during the Vietnam War. Blending fact and fiction, the book follows a fictional version of O'Brien and his perspective as they navigate through the trauma, the fear, the love, and the grief of combat, and each character has its own tangible or carries its own tangible items like the personal weapons, and as well as intangible burdens such as grief, shame, and memories. Through shifting perspectives and fictional storytelling, the book examines how storytelling itself becomes a means of survival and a way to make sense of the war, meditation on truth, memories, and the emotional weight of the war. One major scene in The Thing They Carried is Lieutenant Jimmy Cross and his conflict between his love life and his soldiers. During the war, Cross was in love with a poet named Martha, and he was in love with her and obsessed with her, and every single day he would always think about her more rather than focusing on the deadly war that they are in. Getting letters and pictures from her from far away made him love her even more, even though deep down he knew that she didn't like him back. One day as they were marching to a village, a soldier named Ted Lavender went to go pee. Jimmy Cross is still thinking of Martha as they are marching there, not knowing what was about to occur. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, Lavender was shot dead instantly in the head, and Cross was in shock about what just happened. He felt so horrible and wanted to blame himself because he loved Martha so much, to the point when his own soldier died because of him. He only thought and worried about Martha and nothing else before his death, and in the end, he just wanted to stop thinking about Martha, burning up any letters or pictures that has been given to her by her. In the end, he felt a burden that he has never felt before, and now that's what he has to carry for the rest of his life because of the actions he has done. Another scene that is significant towards the overall theme of the book is Tim O'Brien, the actual author of the book, who has his own fictional/personal story of him being drafted into the Vietnam War, and it's honestly a great story. He was a college student who worked at the slaughterhouse killing pigs, and he was ready to move on in the real world whenever he graduated during this time. However, one letter that he got in the mail changed his life forever. This letter was for him to be drafted into the Vietnam War, and he was actually terrified of this. He hated the war. He hated the killing of people, and he hated the fact that it made no sense to recruit him knowing that he has zero relation to the war at all. He couldn't help himself after hearing this news, and so he ran. He ran and managed to find a lodge someplace in Canada. He felt that running away to Canada would help him not get drafted into the war because he wasn't in the United States anymore. He didn't know where to go anywhere at this point, but the person who owns the lodge named Elroy managed to bring him in, and over for the next 6 days, O'Brien helped him out the lodge while staying there for shelter. One day as they were fishing, O'Brien started to talk about his situation to Elroy, and as they were talking, he started to weep. Reading this, it feels like Elroy knows what he's been going through, and it really tries to help him out, even though it nearly never specifies or really shows that he expressed it. Without O'Brien knowing at all, Elroy paid for the rest of the time he spent at the lodge, knowing that it would help him in the future. And in the future, O'Brien is still thanking him, and knows that he is in his debt for everything that he has done for him. In one of the final chapters of The Things They Carried, speaking of courage, it focused more on Norman Broker, a soldier who returned home after the war and drives in circles around a lake in his hometown on the 4th of July. As he drives, he reflects on a moment during the war when he failed to save his friend Kiowa, who was sinking in the muck of a sewage field during a nighttime ambush in Vietnam. Kiowa's death is a defining trauma, and Boker blames himself for not having the strength or courage to pull Kiowa out of the muck. Now, going back to him driving in circles around a lake in his hometown goes deeper than we actually thought. Knowing that he couldn't do anything to save Kiowa, he's going through an endless cycle of regret and despair, knowing that he could have saved Kiowa, but he didn't in the end. Driving in circles is supposed to resemble an infinite amount of times he couldn't save his close ally through the war, and that will hurt him for the rest of his life. Overall, these three scenes relate to the universal theme of the book, to which I believe is that everyone has the burden in their lives, and it comes from regret that they have done before. However, we must embrace and accept this throughout our years that we have in our lives. Lieutenant Jimmy Cross regrets not being able to save Ted Lavender because of his obsession with Martha. Tim O'Brien's hate for the war made him regretful and hold on to the burden of everything in his future. And Norman Borker, who regrets not having the ability to save Kiowa, his close friend, from sinking in the mud. All these three scenes can relate to the overall theme because the regret that we all have brings us such a burden that gives us a trauma and hurts us mentally. However, that what makes us human. We can progress through life and try to embrace our burden and regret and focus more on the acceptance and forgiveness towards ourselves. Tim O'Brien does an amazing job of giving us a real-life simulation of what people go through when they are traumatized, especially through the experience of the Vietnam soldiers. It's really heartbreaking knowing what they had to go through for the rest of their lives. But Tim O'Brien really expresses that things can get better, and we must move forward in life so we can become better as a person. And that is what I love so much about the book and the way Tim O'Brien writes, and I really hope you guys do too.